welcome for taking the
Yes,
opportunity to join me on this chat. So, first of all, let me can you introduce yourself?
sure. So my name is Jennifer Garcia, and I work in HR, and I'm a certified human resource leader, which is just a professional designation in our industry. For most of my career, I have worked in the auto industry and love it, actually, because it's one of those industries that not many people fully know about, or they sometimes skim over. And I've spent a majority of my time in car dealerships, and I'm currently working for a global corporate organization as the employee experience manager.
Okay, that's nice. So
Yeah,
you got most of your experiences working at the dealership level.
I did. And actually, it was really nice because I actually didn't start in HR at the dealership level. I was a customer service representative. I was a warranty admin clerk. I did some minor accounting tasks. So I really got to know different departments, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for what people do, and also made me a better individual in HR because I had a little bit of understanding of what people did in the dealership and a new appreciation for their roles.
Oh yes, yes, definitely. Because one of the one of the mantra I grew up understanding while working in a dealership, based on my experiences, was respect for people. Because people are used at all times as a strategic part of growing the business and operating the dealership all on a regular basis. Meaning, like you have to use people in order to make a strategic move in elevating yourself and getting them to understand, getting the various competencies, getting their various competencies as well. And at the same time, no, you get them to understand the process and try to improve those process. But let me not interject. Please continue.
No, that's okay. I agree with you. I mean, people are a necessary ingredient, right, for every organization. What's nice about HR is that so many employees serve external customers, right? Where
Yes,
HR has the opportunity to serve the internal customers.
yes.
So we support the business, we're still just as strategic, but we also have that opportunity to really support the internal customers serving the external customers.
Yes, definitely. We have our internal customers and our external customers, and that is also a factor, which is stakeholder satisfaction.
Mhm.
But compare. I don't want to interject too much, but how do you compare the dealership role to what you're doing now?
Yeah. So dealership and what I'm doing now is definitely a little bit different. I'm
Yeah.
working for a company that's on the Toronto Stock Exchange,
Hmm.
and I work in a global environment, right? So currently my company has over 1 million cars on the road. I
Okay.
work with employees in Australia, New Zealand, mostly in the US, which is different for me, especially when it
Hmm.
comes
Hmm.
to employment law.
Yeah.
Uh, so different experience, but great experience. And I think my background in the dealerships really helped me with this role.
Yes.
I think there's similarities too, because we see different trends happening, which you'll probably want to talk about later, right? But the rise in electric vehicles is huge.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
You
Especially in
know,
trucking now, it's heading to trucks right now.
Right. And not just that, but also the service requirements, no matter if you're in a corporate company with cars on the road or in a dealership. I mean, people need service, right? Cars are
Yes.
being built better, but they still
Yes.
need maintenance and preventative maintenance. So,
Yes.
yeah, so some differences, but some similarities for sure.
Yes, because the auto industry, it keeps the economy moving, believe it or not. And a lot of people take it for granted, not knowing the intricacies that are involved
Yeah.
in the day-to-day activities, whether you're in fleet management or you're at the dealership level. It goes both ways. But let me go a little bit more into your experiences because I mean it sounds
Yeah.
so fun. How based on where you were, how has operations changed since you last started out at that level?
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. I think two things have changed: the auto industry, first of all, and
Yes.
HR and how they align. When I started in HR at the dealership level, I didn't know of many car dealerships that actually had HR, to be honest. It
Okay.
was a fairly new concept. I think things were changing in the world. More stricter legislation was coming in. Organizations were trying to develop a more professional persona and trying to
Hmm.
better themselves. and the world in general was just becoming a little more corporate and formal.
Yes.
And I think for many car dealerships, the HR representative or having someone in HR was a necessary next step, but also a value add next step as they really
Yes.
started thinking about their overall strategies. So
Yes. Yes.
that was the first thing. And I think there has always been this um, concept is the wrong word or perception of what car dealerships are. And so you think of the traditional car dealership, and we have all seen those YouTube videos of what a car dealership is, and that person coming out with the cigar to the yard, kind of
Yes.
thing. So it was dealerships were trying to get away from that, and
Yeah.
dealerships were becoming dealer groups, right? So they
Yes.
need
Yes.
some
Yes.
kind
I've
of
seen that. Brand management, they call it.
brand management, exactly. So they were becoming groups, and they also needed some kind of standardization and formalization so
Yes.
that employees were treated similarly at different dealerships, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, but then I also think talent or people in general, employees, it was getting harder to engage employees and retain them. So I think by adding HR, it brought a diverse talent or multiple capabilities for an organization, right? Because I
Hmm.
handle as a certified HR professional, health and safety legislation.
Yes.
We take lead on employment legislation, but also things like fun things like engagement and culture initiatives,
Hmm.
finding the right talent, right? Succession and
Yeah.
workforce planning. So HR is so multifaceted that it helps an organization in many ways.
Yes, yes. I'm learning so much just by sitting here speaking to you. I can imagine my audience right now. I mean, yeah, you were right. The HR plays a pivotal part because the HR manager is right there along with the CEO, right? The CEO is the one who drives the direction in which the company wants to go. They are the ones who determine the vision, the value, the mission of the company, right? And legislate the action plan and the processes that everything needs to be done in order to move the dealership from one level to the next.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 2 year midterm plan or a 5 year long term plan, then
Mhm.
that is important. But the HR department and the HR manager, the HR director is the one who drives that process, ensuring that the staff is competent enough, is at a particular competence in order to understand the processes and to ensure that the work is being done, right?
Yeah.
But
And I also
let,
think, oh, I
sorry,
was
go ahead.
That's okay, Chris. I was also just going to say, I think by having HR at the leadership table too, or within an organization, you're showing your employees that people are part of the success, right? Part of the
Yes,
plan, part of the strategy, part of the success. And
yes,
we, as a company from the top down, have you in mind.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a top down initiative. I learned that when I was in management, well, moons ago. So, but what are some of the challenges you faced when you were at the dealership level?
Yeah, I think similar to other industries, right, is finding the right talent, finding the right people for the right positions.
Yeah.
Again, historically, car dealerships and any kind of dealership actually has always looked for the experience. They've always
Yes.
wanted people for the easy fix, right? If you're a parts advisor at one place, then you can come work at any dealership. And
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the case. But I also think people were leaving the industry and not as many people were entering the industry. So
Hmm.
finding the right people for the right position and getting people exposed to the automotive industry is really important.
Yeah.
Um, and then, once you have the right people, how do you keep them engaged and interested and enjoying what they do?
Hmm.
Um, because in the long term, right, one, they're going to be the people who refer the talent.
Yeah.
If they enjoy what they do and you keep them engaged and learning and growing, they're going to refer other people to join the organization, but also when they believe in the product and believe in your company, they're going to bring most of the customers,
Yes.
right? If you have 100 employees and everyone refers one family a year, that's 100 extra cars a year to sell, right? Or 100, like you just think it like in business sense, it makes sense when you treat your employees right.
Yes, it
Oh,
does. It does. Because the employee, you can either have a disciple or a terrorist. That's a terminology that they always use.
Those are a
And
little extreme.
oh well, it's a third world concept. Believe it or not, you can turn a employee into a disciple who will follow you and understand and know exactly, and you gain their trust, right?
Yeah.
Or you can do things in a way that's they don't like you. They become a terrorist. They sabotage you. They become lazy. They become complacent. So there are ways and means of trying to keep them motivated, most of
Mhm.
all, right? And to get them to buy into the vision as to where you're taking the company. So it's a buying concept for everyone.
Yeah, and trust is huge, as you said, right?
Yeah,
I think there's no engaged employee or no engaged individual if there's no trust in the organization.
exactly, exactly.
Their products, you believe in the vision of the company and what they do, but you have to have that trust that you're part of that plan.
Yes, yes, it boils all the way down to communication. It has to be clear. It has to be concise,
Yeah.
right? But let me keep picking your brain because as long as I have you here,
Yeah.
the other question I want to present, what are, based on your experiences, what are some of the recommendations and suggestions you would have for dealerships now? Know that you're on the outside looking in, but
Yeah.
it's not much different from what you're doing now. But I suspect that with all the experiences you have attained, and you have traveled, you have seen other dealerships outside of our hemisphere, how they operate. And I suspect that you'll actually have like best practices and the way how we do things, and you try to customize the various concept, what works there, and formulate it based on our legislation here. As you know, legislation changes from country to country, right? You don't want to bring something from another region and it doesn't apply to our laws here. So everything is protected, right? Workers have rights. But let me go back to the original question. I'm rambling all the way. What are some of the recommendations you would
Yeah,
have?
for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, again, I think many things apply to many industries, but specifically with the automotive, I mean, business is a disruptive world, right? Things
Right.
change so quickly, so drastically. We've
Yeah.
seen that with COVID. I mean, wow. Whoever thought we were going to go through a pandemic, honestly?
Right.
I'm traveling the US one weekend. I'm supposed to go to California for a conference the next. Next thing you know, everything's shut down. Like it's just incredible. So I think COVID was a great learning for many organizations.
Hmm.
Um, and our recommendation is keep learning, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're stagnant and you think something's working, and if you don't think outside the box and how to continuously improve it, your
Hmm.
company isn't going to succeed, right?
Yeah.
So I think can have that continuous learning atmosphere or culture, and allow openness. So if someone has a suggestion or feedback, listen to it, right? It may not be feasible, it may not be great,
Yeah.
but if you don't listen, then some of the best solutions and ideas, especially from employees, aren't going to be heard. So
Yes. Yes.
I would say some recommendations or suggestions I have is, make sure that profits and your business strategy and vision plus customers plus employees is really what I feel are the necessary ingredients for success.
Yes.
Um,
Definitely. Definitely. Especially at the dealership level.
yeah, when one of
You.
those is missing,
Yeah.
I don't think you can have a full or success in general. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Because it's as it's if you're not growing, you're dying. That's basically what it boils down to,
Yeah.
right?
So it's,
And you can't remain stagnant. You have to be continuously improving the way you do things and the way you operate. But you mentioned COVID just now, and it has opened the eyes into way how businesses businesses are strategically finding innovative ways to
Mhm.
operate and get around. But outside of COVID, if COVID never happened, how would we prepare for ever changing markets? What would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I think consider all those ingredients, right? You need a strong leader or CEO that has a vision, but keeps all those necessary ingredients in mind: customers, employees, and the bottom line, right? The stakeholders, the bottom line, the shareholders.
Yeah,
I think if you don't have avenues in place already, make sure there's avenues in place to have employee feedback. Um,
right.
the suggestion box is great, but really in a digital world, how many people use it? Let's be honest. Right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Is there a way to text things in? Is it through team meetings, right? Like if someone's giving a a suggestion at a team meeting, which most companies or departments should have on a regular basis.
Yes, yes, yes.
Around one time, you know, what are we doing with that information? How is it going to the top? How is it
Hmm.
being shared? How is it even being considered? So
Yeah,
if there's not avenues in place, I think that's really important so that employees can provide feedback and
yeah.
not just to their direct supervisor, but I also think to the top, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes leadership can be great at the top, but if they lose sight or, you know, communication is changing as it goes up the ladder,
Yeah.
I think true great ideas are sometimes missed.
Yes, that is so true. But if one suggestion is that one could make the suggestions or ideas as you speak as a part of their profile,
Yeah.
right? You recommend you request that they give us ideas. They submit ideas on a regular basis, at least two or three per month, right? And then you look at the best one to see what fits, what will work, what will not work at the same time. But what is your emphasis on training?
Yeah, so training is huge. I think every organization, but car dealerships especially, because I think we lag a little bit in the industry, is that
Uh-huh.
you have to find that balance of subject matter experts versus new individuals coming in.
Yes.
You know, if you have all subject matter experts who have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, I think we lose sight sometimes of the newer technology available or meeting the expectations of customers' needs, like little things. I want a text message when my car is done versus phone call. You know, how many people pick up
Yeah.
their cell phone every time now? So I think there's that balance. And I think we really need to take the time to train. You know,
Mhm.
everyone says we do it, but how many people do it great?
Yeah,
Um,
that is true.
and and training isn't necessarily formal, and it's not necessarily just the job of the employer, right? There has to be a commitment on that new employee's part or that employee learning the new role. It has to be hands-on. You know, you have to make mistakes to learn
Hmm.
more sometimes, right? But it should never be at the cost of a customer.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think more emphasis could be placed in training. To be honest, I think full-time people could spend time on training. It's really that important. So
Yes,
I think once
yes.
you find the right person for the right position at the right time, then the next step is how do we make that person be their best self
Yeah.
and deliver their best work. And then on top of that, how do you keep them engaged, right? How
Yes.
do you keep them interested? And you know, often when we talk about engagement and growth, people think, oh, promotion, oh, money.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that always, you know, it could be a special ad hoc project. It could
Hmm.
be being participating in a continuous improvement group.
Hmm.
It could
Hmm.
be becoming a mentor or a subject matter expert to others. So
Yes.
I think we need to get away from this perception of growth is just promotion
Yeah.
because as you go up an organization, there's fewer positions, right?
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
30
That is
growth
so
by
true.
managers. Yeah. So we need to get away from that, but still keep people engaged as we know that if individuals aren't interested in the work they do or believe in the product and they're not seeing growth opportunities, then we know that they change approximately every 2 years,
Yeah.
sometimes less. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's self development is always important
Yes.
because there was a time when a lot of dealerships they will implement something called cross-functional training, like
Okay.
yeah, when if you're a parts person and you're interested in becoming a service advisor, then you'll go across and then you'll shadow someone for a particular amount of time and then you'll come back, and then it helps growth, it helps understanding, and it helps clarity in terms of how various departments work and how they intertwine, right? But you have to keep employees engaged, as you mentioned earlier, and that is also something that a lot of dealerships can employ on a regular basis as well.
Yeah. And to be honest, in my own opinion, you talk about the cross departmental training. I think
Yes.
that should be like the first or second week of a new person's role.
Hmm.
You know, why wait 2 years to learn what the person beside you does?
Yeah.
I just think if you could visit every department and find out what different people do within the organization from the beginning, you would have a greater understanding of how you contribute to the overall vision.
Yes. Yes. Definitely, because what you have is a lot of, if it's a very competitive environment, then you have, departments within a whole competing against each other, and then you have
Yeah.
crosstalk and all these things without looking at the bigger picture, which is one company, right? So
And
we tend to lose focus. We tend to lose focus on that.
Yeah.
But what about training at the top? Is the top also important?
I think so. One, not only training, I think a lot of good CEOs and leaders do spend time on self development in different ways.
Right.
But I also think succession planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the next leader?
Ah,
What are we doing to
yes,
bring them up? So not
yes,
just the
yes.
very top, but the two levels beneath them. What are we doing with those leaders
Mm-hmm.
to bring them to the next level? And again, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone's going to be a CEO, but
Yeah.
how are they better people leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Someone could have great business acumen and
Yes.
horrible people skills.
Yes, yes. Yeah, interpersonal skills. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we doing with those individuals? I think is just as important. And sometimes people deserve these top positions, which is great, but if they don't have, as I said, the people skills, the coaching skills, and the business
Hmm.
sense, then it's not fair to those individuals because they can't perform their best work.
Yes.
You need to take the time to train them and not just throw them in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
That
then
is
it's not
that's
fair to the business either. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting. As you can from my accent, I'm from the Caribbean, but you have a lot of individuals, they emigrate to countries like Canada, the United States, and I don't know if you're familiar with the aspects of how do someone from a different area, region, country coming into Canada, for
Mhm.
argument's sake, and they want to come into HR. What will be your guidance for that person? Or do you understand the steps for them to actually go through the various functions and attributes and competencies in order to be a HR practitioner like yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, HR is a professional designation. So we have a professional organization that regulates us, and it's like OMVIC. We have
Okay.
a body of ethics. We have an ethics code, a regulatory body,
Hmm.
disciplinary hearings for those who have complaints. So it's just as professional as many other designations. So
Right.
if someone was coming in and interested, I would say first of all look up the HR Practitioners Association of Ontario. That's the
Okay.
first step. And then many people don't know that several or most HR professionals have this designation. It
Okay.
involves some schooling, it involves some
Hmm.
work experience, it involves some exams. But most of all, take the time to learn what's needed and get in contact or connect on LinkedIn with other HR professionals. That would
Hmm.
be the best way. Yeah,
Yeah.
the best HR professionals have a passion for people, right?
Okay.
And business,
Okay.
because I think
And
they have
business.
aligned in that. Yeah.
Yes.
You can have great people, but if you're not making money as a business, it's not a great organization. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So get connected with those people and they can definitely help you along the way.
Okay. Yeah. It does. Networking is indeed important,
Mhm.
but as you also mentioned earlier, the higher up you go, the less positions. So it is
Yeah.
best to it is best to understand the various roles. So you can also have what they call it now, a lateral, a
Yeah.
horizontal way of moving through the company itself.
Yeah. What's
But
nice about, oh, sorry, Chris. What's nice about HR is that we are so diverse.
yeah.
So as I mentioned before, we are capable and talented and have competencies in legislation such as health and safety, employment standards, human
Hmm.
rights.
Hmm.
We take care of things such as performance,
Yeah.
growing people as we've talked about throughout this conversation, but also unfortunately those sometimes concerns that are brought
Yeah.
forward.
Yes.
Workforce planning. What's the future? How many people do we need? That's
Hmm.
something that, if I was to suggest to companies, start now. You can't
Hmm.
find the right people in 24 hours to
Yeah.
build your strategy. Like you need
Hmm.
to start now and build the right people in the right places.
Yeah.
So recruiting is a big one, right? So
Hmm.
you can work as a generalist in HR, but you can also have one of these specialties. Compensation is another big one.
Yeah.
So there's many things or areas that people can be interested in
Yeah.
to work in HR.
Yeah, you're right. I remember working for a dealership, and every week was a different policy: sexual
Uh,
harassment policy, safety policy, work punctuality policy, the departmental health, and it just keep the list just keep every week there was a new policy coming out, and you had to adhere to it. But it was it was it was done that way because what we were doing was developing a proper HR department at the time. What we had was personnel, someone who just dealt with files and hiring and health
Mhm.
system and benefits and everything else. But when the HR department came together now, then we understood so many variables were involved, right?
I
And
bet
then
you.
yes, so sorry, so many variables were involved and legislations, and then they had to be rolled out to the staff, and then we had to train the staff to understand exactly what these policies were. It was a lot of work, but
But I bet
after a
you
while,
down the road, it wasn't a policy every week. There
ex-
was bigger and funner, but better initiatives that were
yes,
happening, right? That's
yeah.
just the beginning of building an HR department.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
But it actually gave us an understanding and an appreciation exactly of how a HR department should be run, right?
yeah,
So I mean, without those experiences, I wouldn't understand exactly some of the things they're talking about, but I
mhm,
was very much familiar with them.
yeah.
So
But it's also nice to see, yes, some people would say that's a pain at the time, at the moment, right?
yeah.
But down the road, then you think about everyone has the same expectations and
Hmm.
everyone has known the same policies. So there's no favoritism.
Yeah.
Then people are treated fairly and equal. So that just
Yes,
goes to show
definitely,
the national
definitely.
organization you are working for. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's how it should be. Everybody should be treated equally, fairly, right across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen, I want to thank you. I know you're busy. I grabbed you at the opportune time, and it was actually refreshing and enlightening speaking with you. And I want to bring you back one day again when I come up with some more in-depth understanding and more information. I want to ask you about HR practices, right? Not necessarily about the dealership, but if I get more questions from others, I'll be sure to present them to you if I
No
can.
problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, thank you. It has been a pleasure and an honor to have you here, and I thank you very much for coming on.
No, thank you, Chris. Have a great
Oh,
evening.
okay, same to you. Bye.